Good morning. This is February meeting for the Recreation Trails Committee. And I will be chairing the meeting. Our co-chair Matt is out sick today. So let's do roll call. Let's just do who's missing. We're missing Pat, Lonnie. We got Elliot, missing Shay so far. Jackie.
Patrick.
Yeah. And then Jenna. And it? Okay.
Oh, Shay.
Yeah, that's Shay. And hopefully she'll show up. I'm asking her to prep for something. Introduction of others in attendance. Hi, introduce yourself to us.
Brandon Prather, events manager for Village.
Hi, Brandon. Glad to have you. And we'll have a topic for you later on, thinking about National Trails Day in June as an
Okay.
event for the village.
Is that what you were wanting to talk about or something else?
That could, when was it for? June?
It's the first Saturday in June is National Trails Day.
Okay,
And we've had some banter about it. We're gonna discuss some ideas for that could happen.
I was coming with wanting to discuss possibly an idea of a trail run, maybe sometime between August and September. Maybe I'd like to put together like something as big as a marathon, half marathon, 10K, 5K, fun run type thing. I know y'all talked about that in the past, and I thought I'd come to y'all, see if y'all have ideas on location. How can we put it together? How can it be a fun run and get in a marathon? Well, there's the fun run and marathon. You get what I'm saying, I think. So I just thought we'd work together on that and get the ball rolling. Might be a good thing to discuss, and that way, then we can throw a name together, t-shirts, and get some volunteers, and we can have a good event. So that's what I was coming with. Looking for ideas, open. If anybody has experience, if anybody knows what routes we could use for that would be the best.
Okay.
Open to all ideas.
Well, as a matter of fact, Elliot Rada on the screen today, is our trail runner. Our
Okay.
experienced long distance runner. He's actually thrown out the idea of loving to have some sort of event that went up Enlightenment, I believe, as one sort of an event.
Okay.
And just call it a hill climb. Yeah, just go straight. You'd start near the grocery store and start going up and go all the way up Enlightenment to the top. And then I think you probably have to use lifts to come back down. Although you could have a round trip where people actually run back down, although maybe not on the same trail, maybe not go in the same direction. Although I run Pikes Peak every year and they do run up that and back down it. But anyway, hill climbs are pretty popular, and we got amazing trail now.
We could probably run down El Camino Real back to town too, if you did
Well, I was about to say.
This summer I was in Seward, Alaska for July 4th, and they have Marathon Mountain Marathon, which runs straight up Marathon Mountain in Seward, which attracts people from across the continental US to go to Seward, Alaska for this race. So that's a huge deal. Yeah, so that event makes sense. It also, that's one of the ideas I was thinking about for National Trails Day is having running event or a bike event or some sort of things on National Trails Day. So
No reason not to do both.
yeah, tying it into June
Mhm.
makes some sense. So we can have some more conversation about that, but I like the ideas.
Early June, we're talking balloons the next week, the next weekend, and then we got the fly-in getting put together for the next weekend. So I mean,
Okay.
having something that first weekend in June would be good as well.
Unless it's too much for you guys to pull together.
It'd be a lot. I'm already planning on just being at work
Okay.
24/7 from June on anyway.
Okay, we can have more conversation about that, but I know today we'll be thinking about National Trails Day activities, and if that ties in there or ties in later into an August, September event.
Okay, well, I'll hang out and see what y'all discuss
Okay.
on that then too.
Wonderful, thank you for
Yeah.
coming.
Thank you.
You can get some support in that.
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Good morning. Do you want to address the committee this morning?
Yes, sir,
Weir?
Mr. Chairman. Chairman, committee members, I just wanted to say on behalf of the village, congratulations on the grant for the trails. I want to commend you guys for the work that you're doing. You're doing great work. I just want to make sure that you guys understand how much the village administration appreciates all the work you're doing and the progress, and we look forward to more progress.
Thank you very much.
And if you need anything from us, don't hesitate to ask.
Appreciate it.
All right?
Brad,
Thank you.
I've got a question.
Yes, sir.
Until we're talking before the meeting, so this grant, that was a matching grant that the village also has?
There's a portion that needs to be matched and we budgeted to match it, so.
Okay, and then do you know if not all that money is needed for the design and engineering? Can it be spent on the actual construction? How does that
Actually,
work?
Rocky's probably gonna answer that question better. I haven't read the whole grant, but what I understand is it was specific on what it had to be spent on. So my guess is you're gonna have to spend it on those specific items, and if you don't spend it, you don't get it. That's the way most grants work, but sometimes some grants have language in them that gives you exceptions or other areas that you can spend money on. But Rocky really is gonna have to answer that. I don't know that off the top of my head.
Okay, great.
But it's a good question for him.
All right.
Okay, thank you, guys. Keep up the good work.
Thanks for the comments. Okay, today is now in attendance, approval of our January 16th minutes. Everyone had a chance to review those and any comments or changes for those minutes? Sounds like we have an approval. Okay. By consensus, thank you, Chris. Review and approval of our agenda. So what we have for the agenda today is announcements, and I'd like to make sure we maybe spend a few minutes. If Shay, if you have any more information on how the grant proceeds, maybe an update on the Trails Plus grant. Then I want to spend a little time thinking about our successes in 2024 as a team year. How do we work better? Review our milestones in the charter. And what do we want to tackle in 2025? For example, one of those things was by the spring, have a new trail map available, updated. So we're already like probably 2 months behind and work on that if we want to make that a project to reveal in May. Address committee leadership, potential vacancies, and the discussion beginning staggered terms, which we agreed to in our charter. So that's one item. The second item is working on the comprehensive plan project. We have completed 2 elements of that we asked to work on was one, the existing conditions, and the second one was our issues, opportunities report. We went through that exercise twice. Tim did a great job compiling the information. He attempted to put it into the template that the comp plan committee developed for all committees. We need to kind of build on that today, thinking more about some of the implications. We will address these issues and goal statements. The goal statements we'll look at from what was done in 2006. We'll see if they're relevant or not, if we need to tweak them, revise them. We don't have any goal statements for recreation, so we'll have to develop some recreation goal statements. And the fourth item on the agenda is brainstorming for National Trails Day activities. National Trails Day is always the first Saturday in June. American Hiking Society started that event probably 30 years ago. They do put together a bunch of packets of things to think about for organizations that want to sponsor something. So just brainstorm on that today and see where that goes. And then wrap up is review our assigned tasks and actions, establish agenda items, establish next meeting date. And I think another item we should add to that is would be D is key points to share back to council. So if we're supposed to reporting monthly to council, what key points would we want Councilor Weeks to report back on? Sound okay for agenda? Everyone have any objections? You want to add anything, change anything to that? All right, agenda is approved. So, review committee successes in 2024. How do we work better? We can do this on a roses and thorns thing. Oh, yeah, announcements. Thank you. Announcements. Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Announcements. Any announcements? So maybe,
Got anything on the community center?
Uh,
yeah,
I don't wanna talk about it, no. It's still cold and, we had the plumber, out there, a different plumber, and he started fixing leaks. And, that's where we're at. He, stopped fixing leaks. Didn't come back Friday. I didn't hear from him, but Rocky evidently talked to him yesterday. So I'm not sure how we're gonna proceed. I guess he needs to fix something in the boiler, some leaking, what they're called, but something that's leaking in the boiler now that needs to be fixed. We've been in the talks with, the mayor and manager Weir about replacing the boilers completely. Cause we've had quite a few companies say that might be the way to go.
Yeah.
The current plumber that we have, though, I don't know that he's gonna be the one to do that. So that's kind of where we're at with that. I
Is that
think,
the original unit?
Mhm. Yeah,
It'd probably save a lot of money in propane replacing those.
Oh, yeah.
well, the
That's
whole,
some
that
more
is something,
efficiency.
the whole building, and I've been saying that ever, since I'd been there. I knew it wasn't quite running efficiently.
Yeah.
I could just tell things weren't right, and it turns out I was right because the gym was always so hot and everyone's like, oh, it's southern exposure. And I'm like, no, it's not.
Yeah.
The whole building was being pretty much heated from the gym floor and the rest of the system wasn't working properly. And this has been since 98. So, it finally, kind of caught up with everything, I think, and, hopefully we can get the right people out there to fix it all and move on, but that's where we're at right now, and the bad part is the pipes were allowed to freeze, and that's why it's taking so long, because piping, they can't fix the boiler when you don't have water, so we turn the water on and we flood all sorts of things, and then as things are thawing, new leaks are popping up everywhere. So, yeah, it's a lot of fun, but, also having issues with finding the proper plumber to do, the company to do the work, so that's where we're at with that, so yeah.
so that's Albuquerque companies or the bigger firm? that you have to
That's
use?
who I was using, TLC Plumbing out of Albuquerque is who I've been using for quite a few years, well, not quite a few, probably like 3 or 4. I've always had issues with the plumber, actually, and I think a lot of it is the boiler kind of scares them off, and so then they just kind of quit talking to me, but with TLC, I had them coming out, every 6 months, and they would service the system. It turns out they were only servicing the boiler and all of the, what's it called?
Zones.
Zones, yes, all of the zones were never even touched. And they're supposed to be like cleaned out every year yeah, so, TLC, I think they dropped the ball, maintenance wise, with coming out and inspecting things and saying everything's fine, and they've really dropped the ball. I think one of the guys that had come out knew what he was talking about, and he was really getting somewhere with this whole system. But the thing with them is they kept sending someone different, and one time when they sent a different guy, I don't think he knew what he was talking about at all, because the next thing we know, the Angel Room flooded that night that he was there. And then he came out the next day also, and then when I came in over the weekend, the boiler stopped working, and that was when everything froze, so. That's where we're at with them, and so then they were trying to fix it, but then they said we need to wait until spring pretty much. I don't know if they just didn't realize how cold it got here, and I had been saying, hey, this is since November, I'm like, this needs to get going here, we're gonna freeze. Well, right when the boiler stopped working, that was when we got into the -20s, so that was it. Yeah, so that's where we're at with that, and then the other plumber that came out, he's from Taos, but, he hasn't been super reliable. When he's there, he does well, I think, but he's also a solo guy, and, with what needs done, I don't think he's the right one for that either. And he wouldn't show up till like 12:31 every day, and so yeah, that's where we're at with that. So right now, we've got holes everywhere, and, still pipes that are gonna need fixed, and I think as we turn water on, I think more pipes it's just gonna be a domino effect, but a lot of them are fixed right now. That's what the current plumber has done. but we're still unable to turn on the boiler, so. Or the water.
Do we wanna get a porta potty or anything out there? Or do we need to, or is it just?
You know,
a
maybe at this
building?
point, maybe we should, but I mean, we don't have, yeah, I mean, everyone that comes in, I mean, we open it for pickleball for. You know, what I've been doing is we open it for the regular groups.
Mhm.
And they seem to be doing fine with it. Everybody knows, go to the bathroom before you come.
Find a tree out there.
Yeah, and, bring your own water, you know, and it's
Yeah.
2 hours, groups come for, you know.
Do we have our new, did you say we have our new restrooms or they're just ordered?
They are on, I've just put
But
down.
those are hard, restrooms, aren't they?
They're what?
Hard plumbed?
No, these are
They're
toilet
like-
trailers.
Yeah.
And I've just got deposit on them,
Yeah,
nothing.
but they're not
gonna be ours, they're
they're
just
not-
rentals.
Yeah,
But C&K does have a 2-hole
yeah.
with hand washing that he has available.
How much have we spent so far?
Well. I don't know, I'd have to look. Right now, there's still an open PO with TLC because, it's kind of weird. They brought out 2 pumps and something else and that was about a $12,000 bid or quote. And, they've done some of the work and I asked them to invoice us for what's out there. And I haven't heard from them either. So that's open, and then the new guy that came out, he used one of the pumps that are there. And he did hook the pump up to the boiler. And then he fixed leaks and everything, and for him, it, about 4,000 for him, so.
What's costing new boiler?
TLC gave me a couple quotes on it. One, the really high efficiency boiler, it was about like 83,000. The other boiler that's on back order, that's not as high efficiency is about 43,000, so it's like doubles for that.
15,000?
No, we haven't spent that. The 12,000 we've spent about 4,000. And then plus whatever the parts are, is what we've spent. So probably close to 12,000 is what we spent, but I don't know what the parts are. They haven't invoiced me yet. It's kind of weird. They're sitting there and
It's a
they can't be cheap.
It's a 30-year-old building, isn't it?
Yeah,
Burning
98.
30 years.
Burning money.
I guess after 30 years, something's gotta give. That's-
Yeah.
But,
Well, yeah, and like I said, yeah, I don't know what happened before I was there, but the HVAC system up above is supposed to help heat the building.
Mhm.
And it's never been on since I've been there. And I saw there's a switch in the front and I was like, I don't even know what that, what does that switch do? And I've had people come out and try to explain stuff to me, but no, but the TLC, that's this one guy is the one who explained it the best. And they were trying to get the upper units working. He said that they had been closed, like, he thinks what happened is the system, it just kept not working properly. It wasn't ever done right. And so when things would fail, they would just start closing things up top until they just shut it all down up top. And so then the whole building was just being heated from the floor heat, which is not how a building like that should be heated. And it's kind of surprising that it lasted as long as it did, I think is what, and then finally it just. And then also the zones not being cleaned out or anything. So. So
Are those zones, the radiant zones are water, not glycol?
no, I believe they are glycol.
Okay.
But they're supposed to still be flushed, I guess annually, what I was told, which is why I hired a company to supposedly do what they're supposed to do every 6 months. And to my knowledge, they have not touched those ever. They've serviced the boiler, but not anything else. So that's where we're at the center.
So in the conversation you had with village leadership, is it getting through this spring and budgeting for this in the next budget year and replacing it all in the summertime, fall after you knew?
Well, probably when I talked with them, we're talking about if we could, we probably would have replaced the boilers by now if we didn't have all the lines freeze up. Because that ideally is, I think, what the ultimate goal was to do, was just to replace them. So yeah, now I would say we're gonna wait till all the leaks are fixed, and then instead of paying it would be about $8,000 to replace these two parts in the boiler that need fixed. We'll probably, from what I understand, is look into getting new boilers for the place, so. But right now, we're just stuck with all these leaks. So, they fixed, the solo plumber did fix probably, there was like 10 in the boiler room. We've probably fixed about 15 to 17 leaks so far. But they're all just in
Is
the
it
boiler
copper?
room and the bathroom.
It's all copper.
In the back.
Yeah, they're put, yeah.
It's all the copper.
Mhm. But that's as things are dying and then you turn the water on, they just, yeah, but like, there's one, yeah, there's one under this, drinking fountain. Most of them are in the bathroom and boiler room so far. I'll be surprised if there isn't one in the kitchen, to tell you the truth, but
Why don't we
Not
get
yet.
some sort of backup temporary heaters?
that's what I started talking to Brett about.
So if something's gonna fail, you can just plug them in real quick and.
Well, those propane, excuse me, heaters, one of the pickleball people have brought one and a couple in and they do stink. But Andy and I were talking about, and I talked to it, with Brett about getting propane heaters.
Wall
And
heaters.
just, so things that are fixed now aren't gonna freeze up again.
Right.
We were hoping that this would be done, but now I think we're at that point where we'll get the propane heaters, keep it warm. Get some CO2 detectors also. And, yeah, I think that's where we're at, cause the really cold temperatures, even though it's been like this, I don't think they're gonna be totally gone, and I don't want it to. The 15 leaks that are fixed to do again, so it's just, yeah, very frustrating, a lot of spinning my wheels and it's. Yeah,
We got a new playground.
yes, the playground, yes, that's good.
Maybe the fire department can burn slash in the middle of their open space. That'd be the whole building.
Have,
And the bonfire in there.
bonfires there.
Yeah.
Firebox would work. You know those fireboxes as a backup, right? Those
Yeah,
actually get
so-
hooked right into your radiant floor system.
Yeah. So you guys are recommending temporary heaters in the boiler room, bathrooms to keep stuff?
Well, I have electric heaters plugged in there now.
Okay.
So, I mean, you go in the boiler room, it's warm. We have them in the bathrooms by the faucets, and we have one in the kitchen too. Oh, and in the Zia room. So they're warmer now. It's just, I don't know what damage was done when it was -20 and everything froze up. So that's the issue that we're having.
Yeah, we play with winter gloves and winter coats.
Yeah, volleyball comes in at night still and yeah. Everyone's used to it. Yeah.
Sometimes it's cold inside and it is outside.
Oh, it is. Lately it has been.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Open the doors.
Well, I know it's frustrating.
It's frustrating, just a lot of the spinning of the wheels and finding reliable people to.
Yeah.
But it'll get fixed.
And there's some major things coming up on the calendar that we're gonna cancel now.
Well, not yet. There was, the high school had something planned, a ball. But they changed it to May, but there is that and then high school graduations in May. So, I mean, I would assume we would be okay by then, but until then, I haven't booked anything except had the regulars come in just to be able to come in, so. But May and, the summer, obviously, yeah, we have a lot going on there then.
Is the cover on the back done?
No, that's not done. That's the other, Dennis Engineering. We're working with them to,
Rectify the structural
yeah.
deficiency?
And they're almost ready to get started on that. I'm still waiting to hear back because they're waiting to hear from the village to see if they can open up the inside to expose the beams so they can, and that's the only part I haven't heard back on from Kurt.
Yeah.
What was that for?
Cause it'd be a
What's it
good,
on for?
well, you know, when you have events, especially the, like the, libraries.
Trash to treasures, all
trash,
events
yeah.
and snow. My main thing was the snow, the way it comes
Snow.
down off of there.
Oh, okay.
It blocks the doors like bad.
Ices up.
And you can't shovel it or anything, and so then streets, they would have to come up with the big rigs. I mean, you can't even plow it. And, so that's an emergency exit. So the main goal was to
Oh, okay.
keep the emergency exit
That makes
open.
sense.
I was thinking if it was done, it'd be a good place to put some temporary porta potties.
Oh, there.
Instead of finding a tree, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Well, do the regular users, have they been requesting a porta potty, you think? Is that something that,
I don't know if anybody. in our-
I haven't had anybody request anything yet. Yeah.
They just kind of know, we know the situation.
Play for 3 hours, so.
Yeah, I can do
You got a
it.
bunch of old people in 3 hours.
Well, that's why it's increments of 2 hours, because it gets cold. I mean, you know.
It doesn't cost that much for 1 or 2 units, porta potty.
I do them, have them out at the fields all the
Yeah.
time. Yeah, in the open season, so.
What's the leak in the air hockey room? Is that a roof problem or?
That was the first one that happened before the building froze, and that was one with the TLC guy that I think, I don't know exactly what happened. They won, pretty much the pipe failed and it came apart due to pressure. It definitely wasn't due to freezing. I can tell that for sure. TLC is saying it was due to coldness, but it wasn't at that time. We still had the boiler working until 2 days after that. So they were upstairs working on stuff, and I think some pressure caused that one, and it.
So they caused it?
I think so.
There's some legal.
Well, and that's kind of where we're at. Yeah, right now, I filed a insurance claim, and they haven't been in a big hurry to get out there, I guess, because it's still sitting there how it is. And I think it's because it's so cold, they're not worried about mold or anything, because everything is frozen. So,
other announcements? Have you heard from the state on the grant, what they're expecting, timelines, project?
I haven't, when you sent me that, that's the first I heard that I haven't talked to Rocky was out of town, so I haven't actually talked to him yet about, excuse me, I have a frog in my throat. About, if he received anything from the state. Sometimes we're the last to know. I mean, to be honest, other grants, there's times where I didn't even know that we were awarded it. And, so I don't know if he's received it yet. If he has, I haven't heard anything about it. So I haven't seen any of the paperwork on it.
Yeah, we still gotta nail down, a portion of the trail connection so that the design team knows exactly where it's gonna go too. So that's gonna be a push. I think maybe we should probably, I don't know, hopefully we'll hear from Patrick soon. If not, maybe it would be good to present something to the resort as far as how it would enhance any developments they were gonna do on that property.
Yeah. Yeah, we haven't received anything from the resort yet, no.
And then as far as receiving something from that CS Ranch,
We're good on that.
we're good, everything.
Yeah, we got a response from them. The only thing with them is gonna be what they want and find something to appease them, but we've got access, so we can make that, whatever. We can come to an agreement on that.
We can probably come back to that project. I would think, it would be in our best interest to come up with criteria, what we think ought to be in a designer, engineering, planning firm's expertise before we do that. I don't think Dennis Engineering is the right choice for that, because I've never seen a trail project anywhere in their portfolio. So I think we got to take a look at, what's the criteria you want and see if we can recommend that you guys do an RFP for that work. I hate to have that get done and then we don't have the right equipment or the right materials used because they recommended something that doesn't fit. So there's a lot of trail contractors that could easily do this for us. A lot of landscape architecture firms could do it. For example, the Consensus Planning, Plan Collaborative, Groundwork Studio, a number of them could do that.
I think Dennis Engineering would probably be just critical with working with the logistics of the easement, the deed
right,
write-ups,
Right.
the recordings and all of that, which would be, I would hope they would be able to
yeah.
work with Toddle to do all that.
Mhm. The issue is that they would subcontract out the trail design work and that would double the cost on it.
But you're right, we do have a new landscape firm that we're contracting with. So maybe we can get familiar with them and see what their background is.
Yeah, if it's the same firm that maybe used for Liberty Square, they're
Right.
looking at consensus planning,
Right,
they have lots of linear park trail
Yeah.
design experience.
yeah.
Yeah. And I trust consensus planning, yeah. Okay, anything else, announcements? Can we move on to item 2? All right, this also maybe is part of, if we want to do a quick summary of our successes to present to the mayor, manager, and council, here's what we accomplished in 2024. So we're above board, transparent of what we're doing, but maybe a list of some things that what were we successful at last year?
Charter,
Okay,
charter.
creating charter, which became a template for other committees.
Yeah, that's a real plus, I think.
Mhm. Interesting note, a side note is, I went to the last, council work session in January, which was just a total train wreck of a council work session. And the issue with the train wreck was because that committee that was presenting had never had a charter and they had no idea what they were working on. And it just totally side railed, and that's because there was no charter. So it's pretty clerical and stuff, so. It wasn't your fault, it was a train wreck.
No, right, yeah. Thank you for that.
Okay, other successes.
You think the addition of the recreation portion to our initial
Yes,
marching assignments were just
Mhm.
trails that we.
adding recreation to our mission and workload. Other successes? We created a parallel evaluation checklist. Which is gonna we're going to get to do that work this spring. What else? We had some community outreach at the last members event.
That was a good one.
The summer.
Yeah, the last summer, yeah, thank you. Member event, summer,
We had a members event just in January.
right. Other successes?
The grant,
Okay. 100K basically. Almost all of our meetings, probably had quorum,
yeah,
if you
we've
will.
never had a problem. I mean, there's only one, I think,
Mhm.
but yeah, meetings are well attended.
Anything else? Meetings have quorum, I don't know how many meetings we've had, but for the first time, we were doing it every 2 weeks, so we've had.
a lot of meetings.
Yeah.
Lots of meetings.
Too many meetings. Success. I think it was good though, because we did get focused and do some good work on it.
Accelerated quite
Yeah.
a bit, yeah.
Any other
I missed that
successes?
one meeting with that, did we partnership with them?
We have not heard back from
Okay.
them yet, so I haven't pushed it yet because we had stuff on our agenda, but I'm gonna
Okay.
get back with them on if we want to pursue active support.
Do we want to make, though it's a success, maybe as we created a dialogue?
Yes, thank you, that's good. We did start conversation about, the new brochure, mapping and stuff though too, right?
Yes.
So initiated, conversation about trail map. And digital.
What about it was good bringing in, the architecture committee and the school into the conversation.
Okay. So bringing the school into conversation on the grant?
Well, I think we just brought it into
just
the committee,
trails.
committee rep.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
got us, initially, we did not have a school.
Yeah.
Or an AFPO rep, so we
Exactly.
kind of decided that it would be a good idea to have an AFPO and a school rep
Okay,
in the committee, on the committee.
yeah, nice,
I
okay.
mean, what about identifying the initial alignment of the Frank Young Trail?
Yeah.
You know, we spent some fair amount of time scouting and marking the initial.
Mhm. Some of our adaptive, you think, should we take credit for some of that adaptive, connections with Go Unlimited being out here?
I don't know, so, John,
Okay.
Yeah,
yeah.
spent 22 miles.
You
with
did,
it.
right, and you pedaled the whole way.
I pedaled, yeah, I don't know, electric bikes. Just slow down.
Go
I'll trade you.
Unlimited, So Go Unlimited, connections. Anything else? Elliot, anything come to your mind that we haven't covered yet? Okay,
I got nothing.
all right, so those are our roses. What are our thorns? Things we could work on better.
We still need to completely identify the trails we are in charge of, or are we still,
Okay.
is that still a
The
question?
Bobcat section, that's still.
Bobcat, yeah, who is that?
On ownership management of Bobcat.
The loop.
But they fixed the bridge out there,
Did they?
Bobcat, yeah, it's nice, I think the city, Village did that, right?
Yeah, we've done it a few times, yeah.
Still need to get familiar with some of the trails.
And that, like, that bridge on the solar loop is
Still a mess.
still a
yes.
mess.
Is it really?
Oh, yeah, there's missing
Oh, yeah.
flats and.
I thought that was fixed.
That's definitely ours, isn't it?
No,
Oh, it's not.
no,
That's
I,
resort,
yeah,
But I think-
anything, like our trail goes right up to where that bridge is. And then all the green, the grass area, that's all resort, or AFPO. AFPO, that's what I was told.
yeah, it leans to one side, we actually hiked it, a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, truckers.
Do we still need to, put boxes in each of the houses for the maps? Or they?
A different type of box,
It's one that,
because the box is this long, but our map is this big, so they drop way down, you can't reach them.
okay,
So some people put rocks in them to lift the maps up, but there's no maps in any of them right now.
And I think we said we're gonna kind of make assignments on people to stock those.
Stock those,
And we
yeah.
haven't really gotten a clear.
process.
I think we
clear
identified
assignment.
where they're at.
We kind of, well, and then I don't know if we really got them all, but,
Yeah.
but yeah, we've never really like divvied them up.
There's some of them, like what you described, but tell it as just a picture.
Yeah.
Map, what, I don't know
Oh,
what you
yeah.
called that, there's a lot of those. Yeah.
With the QR code.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some.
That.
Yeah,
that would-
the resort is talking about doing that, putting the QR codes up that then has the, that you can do it online, do it on your phone.
But
Absolutely.
resorts talked about that. I think we want to coordinate that through us because we want this village trails and the resort trails all on one map, I would think.
Right,
Absolutely.
yeah,
So that when you did the QR code, you got everything.
yeah.
So I don't know if we want, we've got to be careful of,
Well, Santos-
clarify with Pat,
yeah,
that
and
they don't
Santos-
fall on their own.
Santos brought to my attention that there was an issue a few years ago, there was a potential lawsuit because someone hurt their foot on a bridge or a plank or something and wanted to sue the village, but it was probably a resort trail and it was all in favor because the sign said,
Well,
it's owned, managed by 18 different entities.
yeah, and the
So-
signs at the,
Trekkers are right there
the
too.
signs at the signs at the kiosk now
Better
say
get insurance as a
trails.
board member.
Yeah, the signs at the kiosk now say these trails are jointly
Mhm.
maintained by the resort village and the Marina Valley Trekkers.
Trekkers, yes.
It's not, the Trekkers
Right.
don't maintain.
So that's, so we know that's a big topic for us is mapping. What about thorns as a committee? Any thorns that we could improve as a working committee? So I have one, I think there, some folks are, could step up in taking on tasks, and it seems to be left to a few people, in other words, attending meetings, and not doing much follow-up work, and we could use, to be effective, and we don't have to meet every 2 weeks. We're doing once a month, there's gotta be, follow-up tasks that are taken on by individuals. And for example, if we say we're gonna do maps, there's one point person in this committee, map lead, that's gonna help move that forward and talk with the village and talk with Greg Ralph and his team and talk to resort. So that's, I think we're gonna do that. And I know we're advisory, but there's no way Shay can get all this done within her, dealing with the fire disasters going on with the communities and everything else. So we are gonna have to take up pieces of this to make it work.
Yeah, I know Greg,
That's a
he was-
challenge that where you.
It's a challenge, but it's also a thorn. I think I felt this past year that, okay, I've been doing more than my fair share of keeping this thing going. You're doing an outstanding job with minutes. Chris reviews stuff, John does stuff, but others, that are on the line today, and others could step up a little bit when they, take on a task when they're back in town. So, for example, I think Elliot's gonna jump in this thing huge if we're thinking trail runs and races and activities that go to National Trails Day, he might be the great point person on that. So it's just a matter of agree to take on something and follow up. So that is a thorn for me personally that I'd like to see more commitment on different pieces.
So eliminate the STP, saying 2 people.
Yeah.
Well, I remember Greg was gonna spearhead the maps, I guess I could follow up with him on that and see what's going on with that.
Mhm. Other thorns.
Our bookkeeping side, are we
Oh,
still,
yeah,
we gotta wait on the, that new tech.
Records
people,
management.
Records management.
I think right now the idea is that we just send her stuff to Shay and she keeps it on the site.
Yeah, well, my computer, yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's the scanning, the people, are they following up with us weekly on just keeping up with what
I-
currently,
I haven't had anyone at my
Record.
department yet. I think they're doing it by department.
okay,
The only thing I had out there was looking for security cameras. But yeah. Nothing else
I
that I've
haven't made
heard.
it that far yet.
Yeah, I'm like, but
It's a
sometimes
lot.
I'm
lot of
forgotten.
Okay, so any other thorns? Committee work? No, let's move on then to milestones in our charter. So in our charter, our milestones or desired outcomes included desired outcomes complete an assessment of village and resort greenbelt trails focusing on safety and visitor experience. Prioritize any necessary repairs and upgrades, determine responsible party and time schedule for completion. We have not done that yet. We did create the checklist, but we have not gone out and completed an assessment working with Patrick. Update the 2018 Trails Priority List, determine if community interest opportunities have changed. We sort of did that. We sort of did find out that Frank Young Trail is still the #1 interested piece, and that's exactly why we pursued that. So I think that it's a good start for us, and we can do more with that if we down the line. Advocate for trail and recreation development as a line item in annual village budget process. So this times, if that's something we will work on, it's probably now the time to start thinking about how much we wanna, recommend that, the village have in not only managing the visitor center, the community center, but, you know, are we putting money towards trails, or is there a budget line item we wanna see happen? Networking with other Shannon Circle Trails organizations, so yes, we're underway with that. An engaged community through effective outreach strategies. We're not there, but we are in conversation now about having a town hall in the spring. That would opportunity for every village committee and village department to have to interact with the community. Effective marketing and promotion of Angel Fire recreation and trails opportunities, I would say that's underway, especially now that we have Visit Angel Fire, and Brandon's here today, so that I think is underway. Identification of the highest priority trail development project. Identified that. And identification of the highest priority recreation amenity project. And spend some more time on that, but it seems like we've been having some conversation about that need for the skate park pump trap kind of concept. It has the most, I think, community energy behind it from where I sit. On a side mark, I did hear from someone at the last meeting about parkour. They want to present to us sometime in the near future. Parkour is one of these people that are bouncing off stuff and rolling and jumping, and they think we have an opportunity for a parkour course in the village. I hate to see the liability for that, but it's worth a presentation. Yeah, it's worth a presentation from them to see what it's all about, to understand better. And I said we let them present to the committee.
That would go up Oestes Trail, right?
Parkour, parkour.
They can jump off rocks and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. And then,
That's cool.
so our deliverables was a 5-year development of an adoption of a 5-year plan for implementation for trails and recreation infrastructure. Recommendation, initiate the highest priority trail segment for planning, design, and construction underway. Recommendation to initiate the highest priority recreation amenity project. Guidelines on how Angel Fire Recreation Trails Committee collaborates with other organizations and promotion of amenities. So those are deliverables, and that, it does not have a timeline on it, but as long as it's, I would say it's in the 4 years under this administration, or 3 years to complete a 5-year plan, which I think is what the comp plan will help us do. And then, you know, these promotion things. Okay. So that was what we, our milestones and deliverables are. So what do we want to tackle in 2025? What's the priority thing? And I'll add, since that we've, you know, come up with interest in adaptive recreation. That adaptive trails thing has become kind of an important piece, and others have expressed interest in that as well. So what do you guys think is our priority?
Well, I think we need to have input and criteria into this design and implementation. You know, now that the grant's been approved,
With Frank Graham.
it's not like we're done.
Yeah, right.
I think we need to make sure we provide adequate input, like I said, and criteria that we give to the design firm.
Okay. Okay. Can we complete that item, A, which is the assessment, which is the first thing that council asked us to do? That was almost like our main charge, was complete an assessment of the village and resort greenbelt trails. They didn't care about village, but I think it's, since we, you know, can we make that a springtime project, at least get a prior, you know, inventory list of what needs fixing by the time
Yeah, I think so.
May comes around?
Yeah.
Okay. That's one of those that we would want a committee member to take point on. Okay. I imagine we're gonna have a significant piece, a role in Liberty Square development. Particularly if a small skate park becomes part of that grand vision, as well as it's really the trailhead, Frank Young Trailhead is really at this Liberty Square. So the idea that I've pushed with people is having a linear park where there's play pockets along that trail, where there's like a boulder climbing area or a monkey bridge, so you could walk the trail and go on these little discovery pieces, instead of a big playground, have a linear park. So I think we'll have a role in Liberty Square.
And I think also the initial plan we saw, wasn't there a recreational facility in Liberty Square that actually was gonna have like pickleball, indoor pickleball courts and stuff?
That's my understanding. Is there some sort
Is
of-
there something, the equivalent of the community center designated for Liberty Square? And is it gonna be
Not that I know.
There's
of.
a big event
like an
center.
event center, but I thought it's one.
It'll
time I
have
saw-
multi-purpose, but I don't think
The convention center.
pickleball
It's not gonna have like pickleball
concrete
courts or
floors or
anything.
anything.
No, yeah, cause from what I understand, it's gonna be a convention center, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
But there's probably some opportunities in there, a multi-purpose center for something.
Well, over in Allen Fields especially.
Yeah. Okay,
I think ice skating rink would be good too. There's really no winter activities as far as the village.
Huge.
yeah.
Something that could be incorporated, maybe, I don't know, we're gonna have to get a new community center, cause that one's failing so bad, maybe that would be a good place for one. But yeah, exactly, that, I think it would be big.
there used to be one long time ago at the park, Olympic Park there. Remember that one, that little pond?
Yeah,
When I first moved here, there used to,
Really?
yeah, uh-huh,
Okay.
yeah. Remember I took my kids there, yeah.
Yes,
To tackle in 2025, we need to finish up that.
volleyball,
comp
broom,
plan.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, 2025 comp plan input. Okay,
And probably formalize or decide on what we're doing with that active.
yeah. Okay,
So one thing we were talking about, Brandon, was the trail maps.
Yeah.
Are y'all looking at anything doing with the trail maps?
It hasn't been discussed yet, but that's definitely. So adding.
I know Greg was talking about incorporating, putting their the Visit Fire logo on
I
the
think
trail
it makes
map.
sense.
And then the QR code.
I think the map now, there's some clarification needed in the text on it. The kiosks, trailhead maps are also somewhat outdated. There could be a, thank you,
Yeah.
could be a need, okay. Could be a need for, QR codes so people can download the digital version of the map, put on those, on the QR, on the maps and the kiosks, if there's no printed map there. So we were thinking we'd like to, work with your department, and the resort and as committee to kind of update the maps and maybe have them ready by May when trail season starts.
Coming up quick.
Then there's an issue with the current map reflects some trails in the Carson Forest. Some of which are not recognized by the Forest Service. So I don't know if we need to not show those or we can show those. It's something maybe we need to clarify. If it's our own map. And there's a trail and people hike it and they've already named it, even though the Forest Service doesn't recognize it. And we still show it on our maps, like Ho Chi Minh Trail and Whoop-de-Doo.
Yeah, they're not system.
They're not system trails. The Forest Service doesn't recognize them. They won't, we can't signage them. Or they wouldn't allow, like the trackers.
So should we just take the Forest Service out altogether for now?
Well, I mean, they're very popular trails and
As a government entity, we ought to respect the agency that said it's not a system trail, you should not have it on your maps.
So just just keep it within the village.
Yeah,
Limits.
yeah.
On the
That'd
other
be-
hand, they're very popular and well-built trails. They're maintained and popular trails. That's what men and Whoop-de-Doos are.
But maintained by who? Because technically it's illegal to be doing.
So we're going down a rabbit hole right now, so we
Yeah.
definitely think
Right.
that trail maps are a key topic. We're all right, we have both sides. In my project in True the Consequences, there was a trail that went up to the top of Turtleback Mountain. It crossed private property and I refused to have that on any kind of a map because it wasn't legal access.
department.
So if we don't have legal access, we gotta keep
Yeah,
that in
and
mind.
like, for instance, Whoop-de-Doo doesn't have legal access.
And one of the big advantages of having the QR code, and I think Greg would see this, is that it's gonna not only link the trails, but it's gonna link Visit of Angel Fire to the website and
Right.
a list of events and
So what's some
everything.
short-term goals that we can start accomplishing on that? I mean, if we're aiming for May? Or do we have
Well,
discussion?
number one, the current printed map is not the one that's on the village website. That village website's got older version maps. So
Are there,
even
are
if we
there newer
started,
are there newer versions out there?
yeah,
or
well, the
did you
newest
create-
version,
Well, what happened was that was created by the resort
yeah.
and the village at the time, we tried to do it together. But, I was told no, that we wouldn't be a part of
We can't
that.
put this on the village.
It is by the resort. I don't know if we can or can't. I don't know if the resort would care.
We have a marketing.
We tried Patrick and I tried to get those printed out, tried to split it with the village and the resort, and the administration at the time said no, because they thought we were advertising for the resort.
I guess maybe a short-term goal would be get some of that kind of stuff resolved, between the resort and the village. We've got the most current map, I guess, and what Shay is saying is.
So where are y'all?
But although we show, down at the bottom, it says Angel Fire Resort, Village of Angel Fire.
Yeah, they still went ahead and
So
they were nice
at
about
every
it.
kiosk have, I think they were saying a sticker of the map would be good with your QR code. If you get the QR code on there, I mean, the hits to Visit Angel Fire are gonna increase a lot, which is gonna be a win-win for that too.
But see, like those kiosks or resort.
I don't see why we couldn't probably try to work with them
Yeah.
to.
So I think maybe
I think
short-term goal
I
is,
think,
get things
That's
when
working.
it comes to maps,
Working
yeah.
with the resort.
So we're getting down a rabbit hole, just trying to figure out, it looks like this is gonna be a very high priority item starting now. So let's just ask, does anyone in this committee right now want to take the point person, to work with Brandon and see what we need? We've all had the conversation about this, work with Brandon and Patrick and Shay to see how we, try to get these maps, revised by May or June. Point person, if there's no point person, my inclination is just strike the whole project. 'cause
I can work with Greg on it,
Okay,
cause we'll just streamline it. I'll do it in about a couple hours.
yes.
I mean, it sounds like we just need a little
Trail
information
Yeah,
and what
We
to
have to
give
have
to
that
certain
before we can
people
see.
and
That needs to be done.
who to talk to.
I'm just gonna
All right.
draw a line around your fire and map it.
Yeah, so John's gonna also look at assessment. I think I'll be involved with, of course, comp plan input and formalized input with ECTA. Those two things. So we also had, and maybe National Trail Day becomes a topic here for 2025 as well. We'll come back to that in a second. And the other thing is adaptive trail that, we've talked about, but haven't pursued more, making sure we mark those, identify which trails are suitable for adaptive riders and challenging for adaptive riders. Okay, last thing on this second item, and we're gonna move a little quicker, is address committee leadership, potential vacancies and beginning staggered terms. So we decided in our charter that we believe that in order to maintain some institutional memory in this committee, that we ought to stagger terms, so when this administration is done, there's still a couple of people on this committee that have been on it for 2 years and know the projects, know the stories, know the history, and keep them moving. My thinking, and I could be, we'll have some conversation around this, is that we ought to be staggering terms. Like there's 6 community representatives on this committee. There's 4 of us, Elliot, and Lonnie, yeah, and then also Matt, so 7 of us, right? So some of us should volunteer to drop off so we can come, you know, and get some new people, so the staggering starts. Is this the right time to do that this year? So that's one question right now, or do we wait another year before we look at staggering?
I would recommend waiting another year. If you have a 2 and a 4, some people will just have to be on for 4, you think, is that? And they're at 4?
But it looks to me like, we were setting this whole thing up around the 2-year cycle, so it seems like you're gonna rotate, it ought to be at the 1-year cycle.
Okay,
Which is in June, I guess, right? Or when did we start? May?
April, we started, we were like late April.
Oh, was it in?
yeah, I think charter was approved, I think in May or something, so. But it could be calendar year too. It could be like we replace now, 2-year, so 2-year term, so that the only way to do that is that. This year, we have to have some people that agree, new people come on for 2 years.
Right.
And then people who stay would drop off after next year.
And I guess also you could be reelected or for a term if nobody volunteered to fill the seats.
Joining us
I could see that.
Yeah, that's,
With no one else volunteering for it?
it'd just be me again.
Same 10 people, that's right. Okay. So, so any conversation around that? Does anyone think that we should replace people this spring for another 2-year term? Do fresh people come on?
I don't know, we got a lot of momentum going. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't
I
think
would
so.
hate to make it so soon.
I would wait another year.
Wait.
Okay, fair enough. So consensus is that this committee completes another year through at least December, January before we
Cause
look
I
at
had to do trail assessment yet, so.
yeah. Okay, all right.
Good projects.
So agreement reached, by consensus that this committee stays intact for another year.
Speaking of that, the emails that I've seen as far as this committee, voting rights and members of the
Right.
residents of Elliott Angel Fire, I mean. What's
So.
wrong with that?
So there is gonna be an ordinance, cause I think Brett looked back and there really isn't it really doesn't specify, it's kind of vague on voting members, but there's gonna be an ordinance rolled out through the village and we'll just adopt that, which probably is, I mean, it sounds like it's gonna be to where, yeah, you can have members, but not voting members that are outside the village, basically, would be the simplest way to put it. Village limits.
And is there gonna be definitions of village residents, like one was.
Well, you know,
Like here,
it would be, you know, just past money, the village limits, you know.
No, but if you,
But you're gonna
like, for
lose
instance, I
too.
own a house here within the village limits, but I'm not a registered voter here. I'm
Oh, no.
Registered in Albuquerque.
No, I think you would be, you would comply, that would be. I would.
Because that was one of the initial ones.
It sounds like it's, if you live within the boundaries of the village. is that-
Just in the boundaries of the village, if you own property within the boundaries of the village, I think you'll be.
So not a full-time resident, that's
Right.
a change.
Right.
So we don't have to disband.
Right. And I'm just speaking, I mean, I really, I haven't been on that, in those conversations, so.
If I may, because
Yes.
I'm the one who's being tasked with putting together this policy. So there is gonna be a clear outline, there are gonna be the stipulations, like if you live, if you vote, and then if you own property, because I think that was the biggest concern.
So vote would be one of the criteria.
It doesn't have to be, I'm saying it would be one of the qualifying factors, not a mandatory.
It's not like you have to be all of it.
Yeah.
Yes, you don't have to be all of those, but as long as you meet, yes,
Meet
one of those, yes,
Okay.
Okay.
So therefore Chris would be eligible since he's a part-time resident.
correct.
You definitely own property.
Yes, he
Yeah.
definitely owns property, so
Yeah.
it's gonna be more flexible in that sense.
And if somebody doesn't own property, but they say rent the property.
If they rent a property, if they work within the village limits, those are gonna be qualifying factors.
Oh, nice, okay.
Okay.
Glad you were here.
Yes, and I apologize if I spoke out of term here.
No,
No,
that's,
no.
there's gonna be a topic on here, because I know it's affecting several committees of that first,
Correct, and we don't,
blindsided.
we don't wanna disband anybody.
Right,
And the way Angel Fire is set up, I mean, over 90% of owners are second homeowners, so I mean, it's.
puts a damper on the same 10 people, makes it even worse.
You're still needing a list from our committee. though.
Yes.
Please, just so I know who's active right now, cause I'm sending emails that are getting kicked back of people that are on your committee.
Yeah.
And I still don't know who everybody is. I'm learning all
I'm
your
thinking
names.
maybe like Elliot's not even on here.
Who may not be, I'd have to.
Do we have a list? I mean, well, we're gonna have to have a list and what they chair too.
And
We're gonna need to draw that up pretty quick.
Right, so maybe if we do an annual report, like what we we worked on, we could submit that with, here is all the information on everyone. Here's the key successes we had.
And then you
here's
could
the
share it with me
committee
so I can put it
members.
on the website.
All agreed to
Absolutely,
continue
yes,
through
cause it's so
2025.
outdated.
Yeah,
Would be a good way to do that.
so
Contact information.
2025, what do you call it?
Our successes,
Tackle in 2025 does one need to be in there?
I think I just put the
Annual report.
successes, this is an annual report, just successes from 2024.
Yeah.
And then here's the committee that's agreed to work through 2025 and just leave it at that. Simple, 1 pager, 2 pager. Okay, on leadership. I'm gonna agree to continue as co-chair if you will have me continue as co-chair. If not, then I can step back and be a committee grunt.
Well, I think if we're just going for the next 2 years, you know, we're extending a whole nother year. We just need to have a list of our names, email addresses, and our seats. You know,
Yeah.
secretary, co-chair, chair,
Okay.
liaisons. I mean, well, we don't even need the liaisons on that list.
Okay. And I'll check with Matt, see if he wants to continue. I don't know if he does or not, but I imagine he will, but we'll check with Matt.
I think we just, okay, to me, it was just getting everybody labeled and then we'll get timelines for when those chairs fall off or get re-elected members.
But I think what you're saying, I mean, leadership doesn't necessarily have to go along with the 2-year.
No, we could rotate.
We could rotate
leadership.
leadership within the
Yeah.
2-year and 4-year.
Yeah,
Right.
And what you're saying is you're agreeing.
I'm agreeing to continue as co-chair.
Yeah.
If you want me to continue in that
And
position.
I 100% agree with that.
you don't have a choice. You got another year.
Bring so much to the community.
All right, I'll continue. Tim, do you want to continue as secretary?
Yeah, I'll do that.
Okay. And you still want to stay as liaison to this wonderful committee?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right, I think we're done with that section. All right, so this next piece is the goals. The goals we need to look at for our work plan. So we did, so everyone print off the template by chance?
I did.
I can put one up on the wall
I
here.
emailed it to everybody
Okay.
this morning, so you'll got your access.
Did you have a template there, Megan? Chris?
Yeah, or you got it on your email.
Okay. So there's a large version, it's not gonna be big enough to put on the wall, but we can work with it. So there's a couple pieces of this thing that the committee asked us to work on. Is the primary challenges, so we listed, so Tim took this, our list of issues and challenges. And put this in this work plan of 2A hiking trails, 2B recreational facilities. And I think there's a third one.
Well, the template had a third one, but I'm proposing to just.
We don't need a
I don't
third
think
one,
we
we have
need a third.
recreational.
Yeah, I think we just
Right,
keep it to 2.
agreed. So, they're asking for what happens if we don't address some of these things. Interconnection of trails. So what happens if we don't ever connect trails in the village? So we might want to put a couple of things, why this is important. What happens if we don't do trail maintenance? Well, there's potential for, lawsuits, injuries, liability costs go up for the village, liability costs go up for the resort, those kind of things. trailhead parking, what happens with trailhead parking? Well, the adjacent land could get damaged because people are parking everywhere, there's, there's ingress and egress off the street issues. So we could,
People don't use trails because they can't.
They can't get to the park, exactly.
Don't use them.
so we wanna kind of filter this in here, but then the other thing is. We need to come up with goals, statements, and I did share, what came out of the 2006 plan, and that identified 4 goals. They're not totally SMART goals, because SMART requires them to be, a couple of key terms in there, measurable, realistic goals. So most of these don't have a timeline on them, and they're not really measurable. So, if we revise these goals, we've got to come up with, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time balance, so. Develop a comprehensive and interconnected non-motorized network of trails for public access. It's great, but within 5 years, within 10 years, and how many miles, we kind of bring that in a little closer. And the same with the second goal, be consistent with other trails and networks, within 5 years or 2 years, or so more specific. The objectives are all pretty good here, so I think our tasks are to capture some of the challenges and implications, and then we can start thinking about what the goals are, if the existing goal is relevant, or we need to update the existing goal. Sound good? And we have, we gotta wrap up at 10.
And these goals really only apply to trails.
That's right, so we
don't
do
really
need
have
a-
goals for
A
recreation.
recreation goal, so,
I know one was, levels of, labeling of trails for their
classification, you mean? Okay,
classification.
okay. So how do we wanna tackle this? What's the best approach? It can be more than a 20-minute, actually more than a 15-minute conversation,
I think it needs to be a separate work session.
separate work session for this.
Yeah.
Okay. So is it fair to say that we could all, maybe work on, can we create a Google Doc? And start filling in the implications on a Google Doc individually? And then perhaps we do a work session on the goals, or see if the goals work.
Yeah, I think getting ideas on paper.
Okay.
Then come together, discuss that.
Okay. So does anyone want to take lead on creating a Google Doc and starting that process? Or Word doc, I don't, we can do OneDrive, I think, and share a doc that way as well. Any interest?
Are we just basically filling out this template? form?
Yes, we're gonna fill the template, so we're all gonna take it and, we're gonna just add to what is likely impact if there's no action is not taken. So we can just start filling in, populating this as individuals, and then once that's done, we can, see if there's a goal that fits in this area, make some comments, and then I think separate work session on this would be valuable.
And when we're filling this out individually, are we doing it all on one doc or?
Yeah, we're gonna do it one Google Doc, so we all working off one document.
One document,
Yeah.
so people just add. to the same,
Exactly, that's correct.
Instead of having 6 different.
So someone's gonna create it and email it to everybody.
Yeah, but someone didn't show up to the meeting, so someone's not.
So Matt's in charge.
So it's gonna be one of us that has to start the Google Doc and push out the email to the group and start this. One of us.
I'm not familiar with Google Doc or OneDrive.
Yeah, me neither.
I would do it, yeah.
How about?
We're technically challenged.
No, it's not hard to figure out in Google Docs. Google Docs can be shared that way. Elliot, you have an interest in taking that on?
I also have no experience with a Google Doc or OneDrive. I don't know.
I mean, we
Is it
all
pretty
wanna
self-
do it,
what
but
is
Yeah,
it?
it's, yeah.
Okay, I'll do it.
We need
just
instructions.
incapable.
Does anybody already have a Gmail email?
What?
Does anybody already have a
Yeah,
Gmail?
yeah, I've got a Gmail.
That's That's all you need, that'll get you started.
Okay.
Go in there, you can sign up for Google Docs and do that Gmail, and then you can send it out to everybody.
Okay.
Brandon, could you be a resource for him if he needs help on? Okay, so Tim is gonna get the template out in a Google Doc. Right now, it's in a Word doc, it's easy to copy this over to a Google Doc, it'll transfer, yeah. Tim would, create Google Doc template. Templates, share with group, and we're all gonna, populate this, and let's come up with a timeline to do this within 2 weeks or something, so we can keep moving on this and get it to the comp plan committee. Brandon will be a, helpline. Thank you.
What, is there a due date for this?
We're gonna say 2 weeks to at least get this part done, and we can look at the goals right after that. So the first part is whether 2 weeks to template this.
And the people will primarily be focusing on that first column.
First column,
Implications if not addressed.
Right. And if you have a suggestion for improving a goal, or you think this goal meets here, if you have a goal for recreation, if you have a goal for recreation that you want to add to the master sheet, that's fine.
Okay,
For recreation, whether you're gonna start programming or, goal is to get the Allen Fields done by 2050 or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So,
2006 talks a lot about the non-motorized, really gotta understand if we're gonna have e-bikes on these trails.
right, so that's a policy question, so I think, we can cover that as well. That's gonna be a topic for us. All right, any questions on that task so far? All right, so just to review, we're gonna convert this to a Google Doc. Tim's gonna share it. And our next role in the next 2 weeks is to populate the second column, which is implications if they're not addressed on these things that we listed. Pieces of this thing.
Do we want to set this separate work session and bring it together or set a date for that?
We
As
probably,
opposed to
yeah,
a
let's
regular
do
meeting?
was a regular meeting, yeah, we should do that, probably early part of March, right? We could all take a stab at the goal development on paper, and if we have consensus around it, we may not need a work session. But we should set a work session just in case. So this probably should be just, shortly after 2 weeks, when we've populated this thing, and come back together. Any ideas on a date? Are you looking at the calendar?
Yeah, I'm not around March 5th through the 10th.
So right after the 10th?
After the 10th, I'm good.
13th is a Thursday.
that'd be 3 weeks, yeah.
Okay,
So March, yeah.
you wanna do it in the morning time or afternoon? What's better for people? Just get it done in the morning?
Yes.
I'm available.
Yes,
Okay,
March 13th.
okay, we'll do 8:30 work session, okay.
And procedurally, do we have to do an agenda for a work session and get it posted on the?
Yeah, I mean, they do for council, so I'm pretty sure, yeah. Make sure it's available and talk to Ileana.
Okay. All right, next item is, National Trails Day,
So that was June what?
June, whatever the first Saturday in June
First
is.
Saturday of
Six,
June,
I
yeah.
believe.
June 6th. So National Trails Day is it's a celebration. American Hiking Society started years ago. It can be trail maintenance, it can be a festival, it can be a race, it can be a combination of things. But the idea is to just celebrate trails in your community. It could be a ribbon cutting that we got something done on Frank Young or announced the grant or something. So it could be a number of things that just celebrate community trails. And I believe someone last fall brought the idea we should celebrate National Trails Day. So it's on the agenda for us to talk about for a few minutes.
So one thing would be to put it on the village website as a national day, just to be recognized.
Mm-hmm. Now I gotta think of heads and beds, so cleanup. Things like that wouldn't put heads in beds, so if we want to discuss.
What about guided hikes on the various trails? And maybe we could have like trekkers, different people could, volunteer to lead hikes of different difficulties. One thing we have the problem with the trekkers is we'll do real hard hikes and nobody comes to them. And then we'll do like an easy hike that appealed to a whole different crowd. But somehow trying to get, not just trekkers doing these hikes, but more the people in town knowing, oh, there's gonna be guided hikes on greenbelt trails, and some will be, classifying the level of difficulty. Where maybe we'll have some that'll appeal more to, the families with the small kids than others that want to do a little bit more challenging.
I think good ideas along the wetlands, and somebody can describe the
Describe, yeah.
wetlands and the flowers, and we have that flower hikes and
Yeah.
stuff, so.
Cause I think if you do a running event, that's gonna be more in what you're saying, August, September, that I think maybe not do a running event.
I like the idea. Do we have volunteers who could tell about things?
Yeah, I think don't you think the trekkers would have
We
enough
need to play,
volunteers that?
three, so an easy, medium, hard,
Yeah,
or maybe even not even do hard, I don't know.
I know that, early on in the trekkers, they were the ones that actually sponsored National Trails Day. I was gonna go back and look and see what they did, but I need to go back and look at that, see what kind of activities they had. But I know they had kiosks with like tables set up
Yeah,
where they passed out information and stuff like that, and I did have. And speaking of the August, September, is that typically when they do that Volksmark hike?
yes.
And that, yeah, we ought to tie that into that August, September thing, because that's like a Oktoberfest type of a hike. These are just things I found through the history of the Maria Valley Trekkers, but I've never participated in any of them. So, This was my first,
That would be great.
this would be my first opportunity to do so.
The other, so Elliot, do you think, an inaugural run that would work that day as well?
You're talking trail day? Yeah, that would be very difficult to do it that quickly to get things together and that sort of thing. And I'm not available. But the other thing I did think of is that besides the hiking things, you could have a bike group go out too. So you could have a easy, medium, hard hike and somebody take a bike group out too to do the trail sort of thing. Again, I'm not available during any of that time.
Or a kids clinic or a beginner clinic, yeah.
It might be good to work with the resort for a kid clinic with
Well, yeah, and even like the hikes, like
they
we
have
could do like
bikes.
an enlightenment hike, which would be a hard hike. Then we could do, medium hike would be some of the greenbelt trails here, then an easy hike would be like along the wetlands.
All could be a historical hike too. Let's learn the history of Moreno Valley and just do a walk looking at different, or geology hike, looking at the summits and lava flows, or you could do a number of series of.
John BC.
Yeah.
Geologist.
So I think what I've seen it happen before is that usually the events happen and everyone then reconvenes at Frontier Park or Liberty Square and has there's tabling, so the Forest Service might be there. Well, they won't be there because there's no staff for them to be there.
My initial thought is if y'all can put that part together, have the volunteers do the hikes. Maybe we could put together where they end up at Liberty Square, hopefully Liberty Square or Frontier Park. We have a couple hours of live music, some vendors, and kind of finish up there. And then we can also help with that advertising, of course.
Yeah, but Leave No Trace Clinic too is part, tie that into it.
Absolutely. We actually had somebody show up at our meetings and they're, leave no choice.
I gave all my teaching stuff over to Philmont staff, so I don't have any of my teaching stuff left. So the Vote Smart idea is good too for the fall. I like that. We can talk about Vote Smart. Yeah, after we leader hose and stuff for the hike and. Okay, so are we in a consensus that we want to pursue something with National Trails Day? Okay,
Yeah.
so this would probably require a separate standalone committee working group to work with Visit Angel Fire folks and Truckers Are Also just and the resort to pull us together. It could not be this whole committee, but it would almost need to be a separate working team to pull that together, because it takes a lot of work to put an event together. Make them work, and if you're really trying to get heads and beds in here, that's gonna be promotion and making sure the leaders are qualified and everything else that goes with an event like that.
I can take a lead for the truckers side of it.
Okay,
So maybe if we take the truckers that are on this committee and do this, the subcommittee. So it'd be me and John and Chris, and we could coordinate with the truckers. to-
Lonnie too.
Oh, and Lonnie.
Yeah.
okay.
With Brandon. Working with
And Brandon, would you be the point person on this and be the coordinator for the National Trails event, working with the different folks and?
Yeah, I did one person.
Okay, I bet we can get some of the bike instructors and Patrick to come up with resort events too.
Yeah, because you need the resort side of it also,
Yeah.
and then they throw in some bucks.
You know, having a skills clinic somewhere, set up bike skills clinic, one of the.
I mean, they already do clinics for
Yeah.
kids, for bikes.
Exactly.
I think also, Take a Kid Mountain Biking Day, INBA does that, and that's somewhere, I think, in June as well. So we might take a Kid Mountain Biking Day with that and as well.
Only thing EDCA has scheduled is a work day that I've seen so far on the
Okay.
website, but
And if we did do tabling, so ECTA and other trail groups around here in Shannon Forest, crossing the ski area, and others could be also tabling. For community information, that thing, so lots of opportunities. National Trail Day should also include motorized, so. I think some of the understanding what's available from 76 and others could be. So do we want to think about the motorized and recreation, because we do get a lot of people here. And educating them where they can ride and where they can't ride would be probably a good thing to do for
talking
them.
about side by side.
Yeah,
Yeah.
UTVs and
What's
others.
what's your name?
Wheezies.
Yeah, we're actually building a facility down there in 76.
All that.
Are they?
Yes.
And there's a lot of ATVs going on unauthorized trails.
On ours, Elliot Barker.
They're going on Elliott Parker.
So.
From
Ocean
Ocean Pass down to.
Yeah.
Okay, we've got 2 minutes to wrap. So National Trails Day, we've got Chris and John and Tim representing trekkers.
And then I was gonna say, you mentioned, Leave No Trace.
Yeah.
But I think that's good to have in there also, because, I have the Clean and Beautiful grant, and so we could. You know, that I could tie that in and show that we're doing stuff.
Okay, and then
With
Tread
that
Lightly,
too.
we can invite Tread Lightly in as well.
Yeah, I think that'd be good to have that kind of stuff.
Okay, Leave No Trace has traveling trainers. I don't know what their schedule is yet for this summer, but I'm sure they're already booked
Who
for.
did we bring in?
Well,
We had somebody.
yeah, and they still have a place here, but, he took a job in Germany and I don't know if he's back yet.
So I'm a master educator for Leave No Trace, but I don't have any supplies. I don't have my teaching stuff left anymore. So I did it for 30 years, teaching this stuff. So we can probably find, Philmont has master educators. Well, possibly they could be a partner for National Trails Day here if they can get away for the day. So you can ask Philmont possibly too. Okay, very good. Good ideas for National Trails Day. All right, wrapping up. Need to wrap now. So we've got all right, wrapping up really quickly, review assigned tasks and actions. Tim's gonna create a Google Doc template for us to share. Does anyone want to take handle that creating an annual report for us, one-page annual report that has on our committee names, addresses, and kind of the successes. And give that to the mayor and council. Volunteers. It's about less than an hour's worth of work if we take the notes we have right here, plus the committee information. Come on, we need it,
I can do it once the minutes come up.
Okay, fair enough. Chris will lead that and make sure we get all the contact information.
Right.
Work with them.
That's all we need is a lead on that, okay. Jeff is gonna work with,
Greg
Greg on,
and Brandon.
and Brandon on the trail map idea we need. Okay. That might need a separate work session as well, just to convene people and talk about that for a quick meeting. Wrapping up right now, any other actions we got out of today? Other quick decisions are that we're all gonna stay on for another year. I'm gonna co-chair. I'll see if Matt wants to continue to co-chair with me. Tim's agreed to be continuous secretary. Okay, agenda items for next meeting. What are some things we need to cover quickly?
Timeline for the grant, for the engineering.
Okay,
I'll see if I can't get Rocky to be here for that.
okay, timeline
I
of the
mean-
grant.
Yeah.
Okay. Do we wanna think about criteria for the the design engineering firm? What we think they need to have?
Yeah, that'd be good.
Design firm. Okay, other agenda items?
And possibly, update on the, Allen Fields.
Okay,
Oh, jeez.
Ooh.
Allen Fields, and then I think, should we also, maybe wrap up the agree on the goal? This template
Yeah.
stuff, right? Finalize template.
Session.
Okay, and then, next meeting date and time? Want to meet a week later to do a regular meeting, March 20th? March 20th, 8:30 to 10, Ileana, is that available?
I'll go check right now.
Thank you. Could you also check March 13th for a work session for us, 8:30 to 10?
I'll be right back.
Thank you. And then we'll convene, we'll wrap it up when you get back. Does anyone know what year the Sendero Sol was renamed Frankiana? Is that in the records anywhere when that happened?
I don't think there is still Sendero del Sol.
Sendero Sol actually goes
South.
south,
It starts from Olympic Park and goes all the way to,
434, I mean, North Angel Farm Road.
right.
And then.
But the original maps I've seen, the map that's on the Jones website, the whole thing was Sendero del Sol. So at one point after Frank's death.
Yeah, I don't remember it was after his death, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, the 20th is perfectly fine. As far as the work session, we do have an airport meeting at 10. So
Okay.
you would need to be done about 5-10 minutes
Fair
prior.
enough.
Okay.
Okay. Any other last comments for the good of the cause? Unless we adjourn the meeting, consensus on adjourning the meeting.
Yes.
Thank you for participation today.